Today on Florence Manifest, we're going to talk about something that seems small, but quietly shapes the course of your entire life: the first hour of your day. We all want clarity, focus, power. But most of us begin our mornings in noise, in chaos, in distraction. We check our phones before we check our breath. We reach for validation before we reach for stillness. And we wonder why we feel so lost, so reactive, so depleted before the sun even rises. The truth is, how you begin anything is how you live everything. And your morning, that sacred quiet space before the world has touched you, holds a mirror up to your soul. Are you showing up in power? Or are you handing yourself away before the day even begins? Florence always said, "Your energy is your signature, and the first thing you give it to each day tells the universe who you are." So today, we're not going to talk about hustle. We're not going to talk about productivity. We're going to talk about presence, about the quiet discipline of self-respect. And to begin, I want to take you into the morning of one of the most disciplined, grounded, powerful women of our time. Not to idolize her, not to compare, but to remember what is possible when you make the first hour of your day an offering, not a reaction. Her name is Michelle Obama. And before the world can ask anything of her, she rises. Michelle Obama wakes up at 4:30 in the morning. Not for the cameras. Not to post a perfect selfie. Not even to keep a flawless routine. She does it for one simple reason: to return to herself before the world can take her away. When she was the first lady, she had a schedule most of us can't even imagine. Endless obligations, constant attention, and zero privacy. But even then, especially then, she carved out a space the world couldn't touch. A sacred hour, a quiet rebellion. Because she knew this: if she didn't claim that hour, someone else would. The headlines, the appointments, the expectations, the noise. In her memoir, Becoming, she wrote that movement saved her, not just physically, emotionally, spiritually. Exercise wasn't about the body. It was about sanity. It was about survival. As a lawyer, a mother, a public figure, she was being pulled in every direction. But in that 1 hour before the chaos began, she moved her body with intention. Not to look a certain way, but to feel like herself again. And let's be honest, it wasn't always easy. There were days she didn't want to get out of bed, days she felt drained, invisible, exhausted. But she moved anyway, because discipline isn't about how you feel. It's about what you remember. Florence would say, "The woman who honors herself before sunrise doesn't do it to impress the world. She does it to remain whole in a world that keeps asking her to split." Michelle isn't a hero because she wakes up early. She's a hero because she understands this: before anyone else can take from you, you must return to yourself. And that begins not with perfection, but with presence. The kind of presence that doesn't ask for permission. The kind that doesn't beg for applause. The kind that whispers, "This moment is mine, and so is my mind." We've been taught to see discipline as something harsh, rigid, controlling, something that strips us of freedom. But Florence would say otherwise. True discipline is devotion in motion. It's not about force. It's about remembering who you are, especially when the world tries to make you forget. Michelle doesn't move at dawn because she enjoys it every time. She moves because she refuses to abandon herself. And that is the essence of sacred repetition. You see, most people wait to feel ready. They wait to feel motivated, energized, inspired. But a woman who is devoted to her inner life, she doesn't wait. She returns to the breath, returns to the silence, returns to the ritual that roots her back into herself. This isn't about hustle. It's not about performance. It's not even about results. It's about remembrance. Because in a world designed to distract you, remembrance is the highest form of rebellion. To wake up and move your body, not to change it, but to anchor your mind, to create stillness through motion, to find clarity in repetition, to begin the day by choosing, not reacting. That is discipline. And that is sacred. And maybe you've never thought of it this way. Maybe discipline was something you ran from. Maybe it reminded you of pressure, of punishment, of never being enough. But what if discipline was your love letter to yourself? What if it was how you kept the promise to be present, to be clear, to be whole, even when you're tired, even when it's dark, even when no one else sees you? Especially then, because that's when the real you is built, not in comfort, but in commitment. And the most powerful version of you is waiting on the other side of that choice. Now, let's turn the mirror towards you. What is the first thing you do when you wake up? Do you reach for your phone before you've even taken a deep breath? Do you scroll through other people's lives before you've connected with your own? Do you let the world in before you've come home to yourself? It might seem harmless, normal even, but that first hour reveals everything. Because the way you begin your day is the way you begin your mind. You train yourself to react or to reclaim. And most women don't lose themselves all at once. They lose themselves in tiny, invisible ways. One distracted morning at a time. Florence would say, "Your first breath belongs to you, but if you give it away too soon, the day will own you. And you'll spend it trying to remember where you went." So ask yourself, am I beginning in presence or in panic? Am I moving with intention or drowning in reaction? There is no neutral ground. Your habits are training your nervous system, your spirit, your self-worth. And here's the truth most people never realize. You don't need more time. You need more ownership of the time you already have. That first hour, it doesn't require perfection. It requires permission. Permission to be slow, to be quiet, to not be everything for everyone, just yet. When you wake up and immediately serve the noise, you've already said yes to everything that pulls you away from your center. But when you wake up and return to you, even in something small, you begin to remember your power. And you don't have to change your life in a day. You just have to change how you enter it. Michelle didn't become herself in the spotlight. She became herself in the quiet, in the forgotten hours, in the early mornings that no one else saw. And so will you. Because the woman the world needs is not the one who is always available, not the one who answers every demand, every message, every noise. The woman the world needs is the one who has made herself whole before the world even wakes up. A woman who walks into her day already centered. She doesn't chase approval. She doesn't beg for peace. She brings it with her. Because her peace is not situational. It's sacred. This kind of woman isn't built by chance. She's built by repetition, by choices that no one applauds, by rituals that look small, but carry the weight of her future. She stretches before sunrise. She writes before anyone hears her voice. She breathes before she responds. She moves, not to escape her life, but to meet it fully. She doesn't wake up early to prove anything. She wakes up because she knows. The most important conversation of her day is the one she has with herself. Florence would say, "A woman who honors her mornings will never feel lost in her life, because she is starting from within, not from the world." And here's the secret. You don't have to do it all. You don't have to have a perfect plan or the perfect schedule. You just need one decision. This first hour is mine. Even if it's messy. Even if it's 10 quiet minutes with no noise, no scrolling, no pressure. Because when you claim that time, even once, you remember that you have a choice. And a woman who knows she has a choice cannot be controlled. She cannot be thrown off. She cannot be lost in someone else's storm, because she is rooted and she is rising, not with force, but with focus, not for performance, but for peace. And that kind of woman changes everything. So now, tomorrow morning will come. The alarm will ring. And in that first quiet moment, you will have a choice to go back into the current of distraction, reaction, expectation, or to rise. Not because you feel like it, but because you remember what you're building. This isn't about becoming Michelle. This is about becoming undeniably you. And here's what most women never realize. No one will hand you the stillness. No one will give you permission to put yourself first. You have to take it. Gently, deliberately, consistently. Because the life you're craving, the one that feels calm, clear, focused, and free, it doesn't begin later. It doesn't begin with the next plan or the next break or the next version of you. It begins with the next morning, before the noise, before the mirror, before anyone else can name you. Florence would say, "The day does not decide who you are. You decide before the day begins." So give yourself back that first hour, even if it's imperfect, even if it's 5 minutes of stillness, even if it's just one slow breath that says, "I'm here, and I remember." Because when you do that, you don't just change your day. You change your identity. You become a woman the world rises to meet. Not because you forced it, but because you aligned with it. If this message echoed something deep inside you, if you felt yourself remembering what you once forgot, then this space is yours. Subscribe to Florence Manifest, not for more noise, but for reminders of who you are and who you're becoming. And tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes, just ask one thing. Am I honoring myself or avoiding myself? Then take one breath, one step, one sacred moment. That's how it begins. Before the world, before the mirrors, before the doubt. It begins before sunrise.